Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 158. 158. Top 5 lessons of a nomad living in timeshares. So, just as an overview, I'll talk about life as an adventure, anyways. So, hey, being a nomad, I guess, kind of accelerated that or expanded that purpose. And the one thing I learned is it's a really interesting importance of having a life purpose, and I sort of developed one and actually shifted from experiences that I just learned a lot. The next one is becoming a minimalist. That's actually been surprisingly freeing of a lot of things for me, and I kind of fell back to being a child again. Learning new things makes you happy. That's kind of like what I was as a child. And lastly, surprises await you. Learn to enjoy them. Okay, so I'll be back to tell you a little bit about the detail, but before I do, let me tell you a little bit about my channel, and I'll be right back. Hang in there. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. Well, I'm back. So, life's an adventure anyway. And being a nomad, you're kind of on an adventure, so it becomes more obvious, and maybe it is nothing earth-shattering there, just maybe not, I'm more aware of it because I'm kind of living in a nomad life. But I had a sense of adventure by living in these timeshares and traveling, so it's been really, I have a much more positive experience than many people have with timeshares because of the adventures that I've been able to live on, and it's nothing earth-shattering, just been because there's constant change and constant new things to see. It's been a really kind of an adventure. I feel more alive because things are happening new, different, and I just have a chance to look at things differently, and just not as tied to a routine that I had been for so many years working in corporate America and so forth and all that. And the other thing is, very few days go by without a new experience. It could be as simple as I'm, walk in the beach and I run into somebody, or just start talking to somebody, or meet someone, when I'm out and about, and so forth. Just different people that I normally would have met when I was more in a routine. And I enjoy meeting people and just asking about how'd they get here. And and that, of course, I have an interesting story myself. And I just like the idea of exploring, and both internally, I'm kind of an introvert, even though here I have a YouTube channel, but I just like the idea of exploring new places or new thoughts about what I want to do with my life. Not to make it all rosy, there are downsides. There are times I'm like, oh God, I gotta get pack up and go to the next place. Why can't I just have, why can't I just have a routine? So yeah, I miss, even though I have the joys of not having a routine, I also miss having a routine. And doctors, dentist appointments, which is part of more of a routine-like life, those are just a little more difficult. So there you go. There's life as an adventure. One of the other things I discovered, and this sounds way more philosophical than I mean it to be, is when you're in a routine, you're kind of just in the routine and you don't notice that. But when you're a nomad and you're just kind of going around and experiencing new things, you kind of realize you need a purpose in your life. What is your purpose? It can be simple. I mean, I want to spend time with my grandkids, or I don't want to make anything special out of it. But it was an opportunity, that one of my top lessons of living in timeshares. Again, that's why I have maybe potentially a more positive. It's just I've gotten so much more out of it. I experience new things all the time, so I wanted to have a purpose. I appreciate my family much more than when I was around them, and now that I am more around them again, I'm sort of more stable, but still living in timeshares. It's really I appreciate my time with my kids much more, and I think they appreciate it. It works both ways, and so it's kind of a life purpose that I've sort of remind myself on a regular basis to do a good job with that. And it's interesting, with variety, I rediscover what I really, really like, which is actually learning. Also learning that nothing lasts forever. Appreciate what's right in front of you, because I'm seeing so many, different things just because of the nature of the life I'm leading. I've broken the routine, so I've had a chance to look at it and examine things. And I don't know if I would have done that within the routine. So again, that's, it's kind of a life purpose, but it's also just being aware of having those constant changes. It's really kind of fun. The next one is becoming a minimalist. Now, to be honest, I did it because I had to in order to be able to travel. But the funny thing is when you're constantly on the road, you can't. The less you carry, the better. It's kind of surprising that I didn't need that much, actually. And I kind of, like I said, I had to do it in order to do what I wanted to do. But so that was hard to get there. But once I'm there, it's actually not that bad. And I don't know that I am going to sort of settle down, but I don't think I'm going to change being a minimalist, because I just don't miss my stuff, nor do I want more stuff. I'm older, and so I'm thinking about end of life sometimes, and I'm like, oh, do I really want my kids to have to go through days and days of worth of, or weeks and weeks, or years and years of stuff cleaning up? I just like to make it easy, and I don't need anything. And if I do need something that's really important, I can typically buy it. And surprisingly, a lot of the knickknacks and stuff you have are not big expensive items. They're just a lot of little tiny inexpensive things, like how many spices do you really need in a spice cabinet, when it really pick on that one for a moment. But anyway, I've enjoyed becoming a minimalist and staying a minimalist. I kind of accumulated so many things, and once I got through the process of getting rid of them, it's been really a joy to stay that way. The next one is learning new things makes you happy. That's what I've sort of alluded to, the fact that I discovered what made me happy as a child. I was trying to get back to, like, what everyone has that happy childhood, and I ultimately came to a conclusion for me that learning makes me happy. And I rediscovered that because I was seeing new things all the time and picking up things. It's not that when you're in a routine you can't, it's just you tend to be in the routine and don't really push yourself to learn new things, even though you are learning new things. You're just normally not as aware of it because you're in a routine. So much of it is the same. Again, it started out just because everything was changing, but I realized I was always learning, and I was enjoying that. And it wasn't so. It turned out the adventure actually wasn't the point. It was I was constantly learning something that made the adventure interesting. And that's that was sort of my rediscovery moment, aha, if you want to call it. And now I seek out learning experiences even when I'm not traveling. So I'm working on real estate, so I'm completely enthralled with learning new things, and that's really making me happy. I'm not saying there's not stress about that, but it can be scary to do that sometimes, but I find it overall really great. And again, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a small thing, like learning how to cook something that you didn't know how to do. Those little aha moments, I seem to be happy the next day every time that happens. So I now try to wake up every day and say, what are you going to learn today? And I kind of put that as part of my day. And it's sort of what I do for myself. And I think if you are constantly excluding yourself and not taking care of yourself, I think that builds up kind of a bad sense. So if you spend a little time and say, I'm going to learn something, and that can be, I'm going to spend some time with key family members around me and be part of a family. So it can be very inclusive. It doesn't have to be something just selfishly for yourself. And again, I've mentioned it before, but learning is what made me happy as a child, is what I really discovered. It wasn't, I had no responsibility. Actually, that part doesn't seem to bother me. It was just the idea of constantly learning as a child. I really loved that. And now my last one was surprises await you. Learn to enjoy them. And, I don't know why, but at some point I had a fear of surprises, like, oh, you have to manage them, keep them, at bay. But I switched to more of a childlike wonder. Remember opening presents as a child? I don't know if you remember that, but they were always surprises, and there was that wonder that you had. And for me, as a timeshare nomad, again, timeshares were just what facilitated that. And then again, they give me a very positive feeling about timeshares. And if this even sounds interesting to you, maybe that's what you should do. And again, to me, it was a new way to leverage my timeshare. The timeshare was just the vehicle to gain these things of sort of looking at life from a different perspective and constantly moving around and seeing things or talking to different people from different parts of the United States, mostly within the U.S. is where I traveled, or all within the U.S. And I realized that surprises can create stress, and I was realizing that they don't always have to, but I was so used to surprises being stressful. Oh no, a problem, because I saw everything as a problem, as what was the opportunity that I could see. And here's the other problem is I would say that as surprises piled up, then the stress can become overwhelming as opposed to, oh, what's the opportunity and stuff. So I've tried to switch that around. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but it is kind of one of the things that happened as part of my nomad living. Anyway, I hope you liked it. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe.